Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the AM Report for Haps News and Network of Now. I'm Alex Mahajer, your host, and it is Thursday, November 19th, 2020. And today on this broadcast, at some point during this broadcast, one of you will become our 500,000th viewer. So we're going to hit 500,000 views at some point during this broadcast. Very excited about that. But, we're here to talk about the news and what's going on. This morning, I'll be joined by Rance Collins. He's the editor-in-chief of 800 Democrat to discuss the Georgia Senate races, some of these developments in Trump's failed lawsuits across the country, and to discuss all of today's top headlines. All of this and more on the AM Report. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the AM Report. I'm Alex Mahajer. I'll be joined in just a moment by Rance Collins, editor-in-chief of 800 Democrat, to discuss his work with these two Senate races in Georgia and their new It Takes Two campaign. But first, we're going to discuss today's top headlines, and we've got a few headlines to cover this morning. First and foremost, the U.S. has now surpassed 250,000 COVID-19 deaths, more than 2 times the American death toll in World War I, and 36 states have now set records just in the past week for daily new confirmed cases, and I'll note 1 U.S. territory as well. We're entering a very harsh winter period. Everyone wear a mask. It works. A vaccine is on the horizon. Wear a mask. President-elect Joe Biden said Wednesday that Donald Trump's administration and his delays on the transition are preventing him from getting information about how the vaccines will be distributed, and could put his administration behind by weeks or months in implementing the distribution of that vaccine. I'll note that the General Services Administrator, Emily Murphy, she's the Trump appointee. She has the power to sign off on this transition, and she's refusing to do so while privately looking for a new job and acknowledging the loss. So Emily Murphy, sign the papers. The Trump campaign has requested a partial recount in Wisconsin in just 2 counties where Joe Biden has a large margin of victory. These are Democratic-leaning counties. The campaign wired $3 million to the Wisconsin Election Commission to perform the recount. I'll note that Donald Trump is also fundraising off of these recounts and isn't requesting the full recount because it's probably too pricey for him and he knows he's going to lose. Nancy Pelosi has been reelected as Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House, first and second female Speaker of the House. Pelosi served as a fierce foil to Donald Trump during his administration and was responsible for his impeachment. And I'll note, as well as for rallying the votes to pass the Affordable Care Act back when Obama was president. So Nancy Pelosi, a strong and steady hand in the Democratic leadership, knows her way around the House of Representatives. So she's back in as House Speaker. Now, to discuss these Georgia Senate races between Reverend Raphael Warnock and Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler, and then Jon Ossoff and Republican incumbent David Perdue, I'd like to welcome to the program Rance Collins. He's the editor-in-chief of 800 Democrat and a dear, dear friend. How are you doing, Rance?
Hi, Alex. It's good to be with you this morning. Always so early in the morning for me.
I love that. Like, right before we go live, I'm like, how are you? Good morning. And I'm just kind of used to being up at this hour now. And you're like, I'm going to die. Yeah, grumble. He's usually
thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be on for what is sure to be your most special show yet. So
my most special. It's the most special. We're going to hit at some point. If you're watching the program on the Haps app or platform, shoot us, click the award button, let us know you're enjoying it, and we can see it. It'll pop up on screen. You can see it popping up on screen. It lets us know. But if you're watching on Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, leave a comment. We'll try to bat around with you live on air, and we already have a lot of comments rolling in from a really loyal viewer, Daniel Goff. Nancy Pelosi is a Baltimore girl, and we love her here in Maryland. Liza Donnelly is saying hello from New York. Um, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you, and thanks for joining us this morning on this very special episode. So, Rance, let's talk about these Georgia Senate races first and foremost. So, it looks like the entire Biden agenda, the entire state of the U.S. Senate, so much now hinges on these two Senate races in Georgia between. I listed the candidates earlier. So where are we at on these Georgia Senate races as we stand right now?
I know that we're all allergic to polls after all this time, but the only thing that polling is telling us right now is that the races are basically deadlocked, which goes pretty much in line with the results that we saw a couple weeks ago, or the results that are being certified, I should say at the moment. We actually will get certification from Georgia today on their votes. So if you were looking for a reason to celebrate Joe Biden winning a state again, today is going to be the day, because we're going to find out he won Georgia again today. They, David Perdue and Jon Ossoff were only about 1.5 points apart in the first round. And if you combine all of the Democrats running and all of the Republicans running in the special election, you got Kelly Loeffler and Raphael Warnock pretty much deadlocked as well, and the polls are reflecting that. Basically, everything is going to be close in Georgia come January 5th, and it's all going to come down to turnout. And right now, the state of Georgia, there's actually not that many voters left to register. Stacey Abrams did such a good job with her effort that there's only 2% of the state that hasn't been registered. 98% of the voting population is registered to vote in Georgia, which is just astounding that they have that kind of number. But that means that what needs to happen on January 5th is any voters they didn't get out to vote before need to come out this time, and they need to get everybody out again who voted on November 3rd. So the big push is to get as much turnout as possible. Also, if you are turning 18 before January 5th in Georgia, you can register to vote by December 7th and have your vote count in this next election. So that's some important information there. Also, you can donate to 800 Democrats, 800 Georgia Fund. We just started a campaign called Let's Take Two. And if you go to letstake2.com, we've already raised just about $37,000. We'd like to hit $40,000 a day. We've been getting about $3,000 or $4,000 a day, which is really exciting because we are a small organization, and we have made our first ad buy with your dollars. And we will also soon be making some radio ad buys with your dollars, specifically going out to stations to inform people about the important dates on absentee ballots, on voter registration deadlines. We really want to help get that information out there. So you can go to letstake2.com and chip in $25. That would help me and our group. Thank you.
Whichever two could you be referring to, Rance? We've got some more comments.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel Goff has donated to 800 Democrat and is pushing everyone to go to electjohn.com before we make this a total a sell for all the different places he should.
There's so many places. I mean, I'm one of many, but anyway, keep going.
Just one of many. But in any case, Rance, so here's the other thing though about these Georgia Senate races is that we can't assume that everybody who voted in the November election will vote again. And here's a troubling fact about just how difficult they make it for you in Georgia is that everyone who registered to and voted absentee in the November election has to re-register to vote absentee in the runoff election. So Stacey Abrams has been hard at work with Fair Fight Action and other local groups like the New Georgia Project to make sure people who plan on voting absentee, they got to do it again. But the good news is that if they're registered, they're registered. And now it seems like the work is to register new voters who are 17 years old who will be eligible to vote on the January 5th special election.
Yes.
So, what? Also, this was a very close race, regardless. So, what are you seeing are the chances that this happens here in Georgia?
The chances that we take both seats?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that we are in a 50-50 situation. It may, statisticians, betting odds people might put it at less than that because incumbents tend to be favorited in any race. But Kelly Loeffler has been catching a lot of flack for the fact that she is the richest politician and perhaps the most financially corrupt in Washington, which is remarkable considering that she's only been there for, I think, 10, 11 months now. So in that time, she's managed to commit insider trading that she has never been prosecuted for. So I think people are a little fed up with her corruption. So Raphael Warnock, he might have a slight edge on Jon Ossoff because I think Kelly Loeffler is a little less popular. But at the same time, David Perdue has gotten lots of flack because of his corruption tactics, his response to COVID. So they aren't like extremely popular senators.
I want to put a pin in David Perdue because we'll talk about that more. But it looks like we just hit our 500,000th viewer, 500,000 views here on Haps. So thank you everybody who's watching, and we've made a little video to celebrate. So we're gonna play that for you now. So thank you everyone who's watching. I don't know who just tuned in to put us over the 500,000, but thank you. This has been a pleasure to do every single morning. We're going to continue on with the show, but I just wanted to thank you all. I also want to thank all the Haps team, Pablo, Peter, Mark Goldman, Jack Berry, Lucia, everybody who works behind the scenes to make this operation move smoothly. It is in its beta stages, and everyone has just worked so hard. So thank you guys for what you do and for allowing this platform for people. So
hi. It looks like Alex has dropped out for the moment, leaving me by my own devices here to talk for a little bit. So thank you everybody for helping Alex make it this far and giving us, good, you're back.
Yeah, the world could not handle the excitement of the
say, like, 500,000 viewers, and they were like, and I was talking for a second. I was like, are we? Am I alone out here?
It was like the Madonna. It was like the Madonna Britney kiss, where I gave you my soul, and you now became me.
And thank you, Liza. Liza just donated.
Oh, well, thank you, Liza.
It's also not all me anymore. There's all these comments coming in that I feel the need to respond to. I'm very sorry. I want everyone to feel acknowledged.
Yes, everyone.
Also, to the person who asked a moment ago, no, you're not going to pay more in taxes unless you make more than $400,000 a year.
Right. Everyone calm down about your taxes. Okay, so let's get back to it. David Perdue, Rance. So it's not just Kelly Loeffler that is in some hot water with her tax, the corruption, right? So a news story just broke yesterday that David Perdue dumped stocks too. They're both doing it, and both extremely
and then bought up stocks in companies like Zoom, and other like a remote learning type companies, because they knew what was about to happen.
Yes,
before any of us did, before the market did.
And David Perdue helped a defense contractor and sold off its stock in January of this year. So he had never before invested in the Navy supplier BWX Technologies until right before he assumed control of the Senate Armed Services Subcommittee on Sea Power, which is a real subcommittee in the Senate. But there it is. So right before he's put in charge of this subcommittee, which is very powerful with jurisdiction over the U.S. Navy, Perdue began to buy up stock in a company that made submarine parts. And then once he began to work on a bill that ultimately moved more funding towards the Navy for one of the firm's products, he sold off the stock and he earned tens of thousands of dollars in profits. And so that was just a story that broke yesterday in the Daily Beast. And so, more troubling corruption. Both senators in Georgia and Kelly Perdue, they were both receiving private classified information about the threat of the coronavirus in January. Kelly Perdue dumped $3.1 million worth of stocks while publicly downplaying the coronavirus.
Kelly
Loeffler.
David Perdue.
Kelly Perdue.
No, it's Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue.
Did I say Kelly Perdue?
You've said it several times.
Oh, well, I guess tomato. They're like cut from the same pot.
I mean, like Kelly, they are basically two peas in a pod, or two peas in a peach.
Right. Well, Kelly, she received this information and dumped $3.1 million in stocks while publicly downplaying the coronavirus, and then then the stock market crashed in March. So both of them corrupt. Kelly Loeffler is also the wealthiest member of Congress by far. She's a billionaire and hard right. So those are kind of the updates. The deadlines to register to vote, are they coming up, Rance? Are you familiar with the deadlines that are coming up?
Yes. December 7th is the deadline to register to vote in Georgia. Also, people should know that absentee ballots started going out yesterday. So if you should receive it soon if you are registered to get an absentee ballot. And if you want to register to get an absentee ballot, that you can do that on the georgia.gov website. I have been posting the direct links to both go to register, get your absentee ballot, and to check your absentee ballot status, which the ACLU has a helpful ballot status check website, along with information on where the drop boxes are. I've been posting all that information daily on our 800 Democrat Facebook page. So make sure that you check that out and share that with anybody that you know that lives in Georgia, just to make sure they're completely prepared.
All right. And that's Georgia. So let's move to...
early voting starts on December 14th and will last for 3 weeks. That's until New Year's.
Right. And then January 5th, Election Day in Georgia, where people can vote. It's the last day to vote. Let's shift gears really quick while we still have just a few more minutes here to talk about these lawsuits that Trump has filed across the country. He's lost, I think, somewhere like 27 lawsuits across the country, and he's only won a single lawsuit and that was about partitioning off some of the late arriving mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. They don't affect the outcome of the election in any way. So give us an update on these lawsuits, Rance, from your perspective.
Well, I mean, every single lawyer that they've attempted to hire, basically with any type of courtroom ability, has jumped ship at this point. It's down to Rudy Giuliani arguing cases in court. And I don't know if you guys heard about this, but this week Rudy got up in court for the first time in, I think it was like 28 years. And he apparently has forgotten what a lot of words mean in that span of time. At one point, the word opacity was used, and Rudy Giuliani said something, and the judge was like, "Do you understand what the word opacity means?" And he said, "Yeah, it's to make clearer." And and then the judge was like, "No, it means to not be clear." It was stuff like that, where you've gotten to this point in the clown car show that you have a person with questionable mental capacities, who has not argued before a court in quite some time, trying to throw everything at the wall. And literally these lawsuits, if you look at them, say like, please throw out 300,000 ballots for 600,000 ballots. They're just asking them to just throw out like all of Pittsburgh, all of Philadelphia. It's just like, what?
Well, Rand, I'll note as well that, I, first of all, as a person who went to law school, and by the way, my constitutional law, I've told you this many times, my constitutional law professor was conservative hero Hugh Hewitt. Okay. So for everyone who thinks I'm a neoliberal shill, I got my formal legal education from one of the most beloved conservative media figures in the United States. In any case, the concepts that Rudy Giuliani is unable to grapple with, like the level of scrutiny that should be applied to the case, these are really basic constitutional tenets. They're really, really basic, like easy breezy first year law school type stuff. So the fact that the judge asks him, what level of scrutiny should I apply? And Rudy Giuliani says, the normal level. And the judge is just kind of like, you mean strict scrutiny? And he disagrees and says, no, the normal level of scrutiny. He doesn't understand very basic legal precepts. So it's actually.
Has anyone had a more dramatic fall from grace than Rudy Giuliani? I mean,
America's mayor. It is. What an embarrassment! What an embarrassment! But what a humiliation, and for who? For Trump. Man, oh man. But I'll also note Giuliani is stepping up in Pennsylvania because all of Trump's lawyers are withdrawing their cases because they're getting reamed out by these federal and state judges for basically filing fake lawsuits that don't have any merit. These judges are saying, they're even asking them in these transcripts that I've been reading, so you're not alleging voter fraud, and they're saying, no, we're not presently aware of any voter fraud. This is so like the lawyers are acknowledging we don't even really know what we're saying. We just want you to make this go away. And publicly they're saying there's evidence of voter fraud. There's evidence of voter fraud, but the lawyers even acknowledge there's not evidence, except for some affidavits in some states that are about like poll watching. And even these affidavits don't pan out because the affidavits are from people who are like, they wouldn't let me closer than 10 feet, or like, I couldn't overhear every conversation. Like they're totally bogus and shameful, meritless, all of them. What a
here we are in the time of COVID, and people are asking to get even closer to other people so they can breathe down their neck as they count a ballot. That sounds like a Trump person to me.
Yeah. And Anita Christine is my favorite commenter this morning. She's saying no longer America's mayor. And she also earlier made a great point about the mail ballots being partitioned off in Pennsylvania, and that one successful lawsuit by Trump to partition off those late arriving mail-in ballots. She says they are late because the joy. It's a good point.
Exactly.
Anita.
It all worked together.
Some conspiracy theorists about the Dominion server. These are debunked conspiracy theories that the Trump administration is publicly spouting while privately not bringing up in court because they know that it's fake. So
I mean, like, it's just amazing to me that they think so many that the DNC, who somehow didn't bother to get us an easy majority in the Senate, who didn't let Hillary Clinton win 4 years ago, who somehow they've managed to scrunch up, will probably be over 80 million votes for Joe Biden, which is 10 million, 11 million more than any person has ever gotten, ever. They've somehow managed to pull that off, even though they can't pull off any other electoral wins.
Yeah, let's
like
ballots. It's like magic. So pretty brilliant stuff. Yeah. So in any case, Rance, thank you so much for joining the AM Report this morning. Where can people find you, 800 Democrat, and your new It Takes Two campaign? Although you did a heavy, very salient plug a little earlier, I want to give you one more chance to do it.
Well, just in case anyone missed that plug. Yes, 800 Democrat has a new, just week-old Georgia Senate fund that we are calling our Let's Take Two campaign. You can go to letstake2.com. It'll direct you to our ActBlue page so you can make a direct donation. We've already raised, there's actually a little ticker that shows you how much we've raised. We've already raised just about $37,000, on our way to 40 perhaps today, if a lot of you could shove in some money. And we would like to raise as much as possible because we are buying ads in Georgia, both online, radio ads, and maybe even some TV markets if we could get enough money to let voters know all the information they need to know about voting on January 5th. So please.
All right.
It takes letstake2.com.
Oh boy! All right. Well, thank you, Rance, a dear friend of mine.
And my Twitter's @Rance Collins. There you go.
You are good and plugged, honey. You are good and plugged.
Someone asked what my Twitter was. I had to.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, it's @Rance Collins, and it's a great account, so follow it. I want to thank Rance Collins, our very special guest this morning on the AM Report. Thank you so much, Rance.
Love you, Alex.
Love you too. This has been the AM Report with Alex Mahajer for Haps News, the network of Now. We are live every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, with all of your quick political news and headlines to get your day started right. If you like this journalism, if you like this content, please consider sponsoring or subscribing. Visit me at haps.tv/@Alex and subscribe to this program. And thank you so much for everyone who watched today and put us over. Today, we had our 500,000th viewer, and here's to 500,000 more. It's just been a real pleasure doing this every morning, and we'll be back tomorrow morning with political scientist and constitutional scholar Miranda Yabber to talk about where we're at with democracy and these attempts to circumvent it. And we'll look forward to that. Thank you so much for joining, everybody, and we'll see you all tomorrow.